2014. She completed her certification through eCornell in plant-based nutrition, and she is actively involved in improving the health of children and their families through nutritional education. Dr. George is board certified by the American Board of Pediatrics, a fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and licensed to practice in the state of Texas. She's also an esteemed featured panelist for the past 3 years on 2 of our Ask a Vegan panel sessions at VegFest Houston, and I'm honored to call her friend. So let's please give a warm welcome to Dr. George. Everyone can hear me? Yes? Good. All right. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Kristen and Tosh, for inviting me to speak at this amazing event. I'm so honored to always be asked, just for anything. Kristen and Tosh are such amazing people, and we're so lucky to have them in our community to lead this amazing event. So can we please give a round of applause to Kristen? Everyone, the board at Vegan Society of Peace at large. So, it's such a pleasure to talk at these events because most of my counseling and my new nutritional advice is trying to get people to add more, fruits and vegetables to their plate. But luckily, you guys are already doing that, so congratulations. So this event and this talk really is a pleasure. So when I was thinking of what to talk about, going into the holiday season, it's sometimes tough, here we have a wonderful community, especially at this dinner where we're all like-minded and believe that, plant-based eating and the vegan lifestyle is so important. Sometimes when we go home to our holiday dinners, we're not always sharing that type of mindset with everyone at the table. So I hope to empower you today to take on that holiday dinner and hopefully put together a little survival guide for you. Hopefully your dinners don't look anything like this, but like I said, sometimes it can be a bit of a minefield with people because of all our holidays around, being centered around food. Obviously, eating plant-based becomes usually a topic of conversation. Has anyone had that happen to them? Yeah. Maybe just once or twice. So we're going to start off with some high-yield resources. I say high-yield because these are some of the things that you maybe have come across before, but basically we want to arm you with that knowledge, those studies that you should be aware of, those resources that maybe you want to go back and look into before you get home to these holidays, and maybe some new ones that you haven't heard of before. I'm a pediatrician, that's my specialty, so obviously you're going to get a little bit of pediatric nutrition information to share with your loved ones or, for you and your family. And then the second half of this talk is going to be about empowered action. So how we can take this knowledge, this understanding, and help to encourage change. It can't happen over the holidays, it's something that we want to encourage others to come towards, eating more plant-based for nutrition, for the animals, for the environment. So hopefully we'll get into some empowered action as well. All right, I'm going to go pretty quickly into this because I may or may not have thought I had more time to talk. So stay with me, and if you can't hear me at any point, just raise your hand and I'll move closer to the mic. One of the biggest studies is called the E.P.E.C.E study, named appropriately, but it stands for the European Perspective Study into Cancer Nutrition. The reason I highlight this study first, I promise you I'm not going into 15 studies, I will not bore you to that extent, but this is really important because of the massive amount of people that were followed. It was 521,000 people that were followed for 15 years. Almost 15 years. I mean, when I looked into that population, I was like, this is like a city. It was actually like the size of Portland, Oregon. So it's like everyone in Portland, Oregon, having like a really intense stalker for like 15 years. They followed their nutrition, they followed what they were doing, and of course, what were the results of the E.P.E.C.E study? Here are just a few highlighted points. So chicken consumption, increased risk of lymphoma, meat consumption, increased risk of cardiovascular disease, and all-cause mortality. I just love that phrase. So every reason you could die. Fat intake related to increased breast cancer, high levels of blood glucose related to increased risk of heart disease. All right, so before you get depressed, obviously, but here, high fiber diet is protective for bowel cancer, right? Increased fruit and vegetable consumption reduces risk of all-cause mortality. Here's that phrase again. You don't want to die early. Eat more fruits and vegetables, right? So obviously highlighted high yield version, increased meat, increased disease, increased fruits and vegetables, decreased disease, right? All right, the Adventist Health Study. Some people, they reference the different ones. I just wanted to kind of map out, again, the results are pretty similar. These are based on the Seventh-day Adventists that are, have a particular way of life where they eat more plant-based, they, don't drink alcohol, they don't smoke. That better? Whoa, that's, okay. Adventist Health Study. Hello? Okay. Where the Seventh-day Adventists, they eat more plant-based diets, they have a community, they are surrounded by people that are loving and caring, they don't drink alcohol, they don't smoke, and so this is a great population to study, and there are several studies, actually about 5 studies on this group, again with similar findings, increased love, community, plant-based eating, decreased disease. You don't have that, you have increased risk of disease, but the latest one was the Adventist Health Study 2, which was the latest one, which was the biggest group. They had over 90,000 participants, so that's something to look into if you haven't already, but studies that you may have heard sort of in passing, but didn't really know what it was about. So our friends from Chick-fil-A, this is our version of it, however, so the new guy is the World Health Organization. This is a group I talk about a lot because they seem more independent than some of our local, FDAs and things like that. They, of course, are recommending more veggies and less processed meat, especially less processed meat and red meat. So here we are. Oprah has her favorite things. I have mine. So plant-based. This keeps going in and out. Sorry, guys. Plant-based eating. Should I hold it like this? Plant.
Put it on the screen.
Plant-based. All right. Oh, plant-based. My favorite books. We'll get it together, guys. Don't worry. Hang in there. That was the old one. Yeah, thank you though, Martika. So you guys all know, I'm sure I've heard about at one point or another about the China study. I want to highlight a book called Whole by T. Colin Campbell. Of course, he's one of our foundational researchers, amazing person. I've had the honor of meeting him a couple of times. But his book on Whole, reminds us that we get caught up sometimes in the details about macronutrients and even some of the micronutrients, but we really got to remember that the packaging matters, how it is handed to us in the entire piece, right? So you talk about protein, we're talking about, meat versus beans. We're not just talking about protein, we're talking about the healthy fiber, the phytonutrients, all the other stuff that it's packaged in. So if you guys haven't been able to come across this book or read just, a little bit into it, that book is amazing, especially when you have, maybe other family members that are so caught up in these, keto, paleo kind of things where, they're just looking at the certain details that aren't the full picture. I feel like that's a great resource. So Dr. Caldwell Estison and his amazing work on preventing and actually reversing heart disease. I'm sure, let's see a show of hands of how many people have heart disease in their family or know somebody with hypertension, stroke, had to have stents, bypasses. It's our #1 killer, right? I like to offer this as a friendly stocking stuffer to those I know that have had heart disease. It's showing you care and you love. I don't see it as a, bad thing to do because, more information the better. Even if they don't read it, don't hold it against them. But it'll sit on their shelf maybe for a little while, and then when they start to hear a little bit more about plant-based, they may just pick it up and read it, but keeping it in their house, keeping it with them might just make all the difference, might save their life. So. Dr. Dean Ornish, again, amazing individual, has amazing research, amazing foundations. He's really been in the forefront of getting Medicare and Medicaid to approve, his lifestyle medicine interventions. His latest book is called Undo It. He's worked with it with his wife. I've read most of it. It's one of his newer books, and it's really great to see the balance between, the medical side of it and then working with his wife on kind of the other side of it, right? So plant-based eating is really important, but also the sense of community that we're lucky to have here tonight with like-minded people, but also that community at home with family and friends. That makes a difference. Eating plant-based, of course, and then moving well, moving your body. It is so important for your mind, for your health, so you need to have each one of those. So we focus, of course, a lot on plant-based nutrition and eating, but I like his style of approaching it from those different directions because stress management, movement, sense of community, that's part of it too. That's where we're seeing real disease reversal in those patients that are having, things like terrible heart disease. His latest research is actually going to be on Alzheimer's, or he's working on it currently, because they do believe that the same thing that's causing heart disease is leading to Alzheimer's as well. So that research is going to be coming up, and it's really going to be amazing. So Dr. Michael Greger, of course we all love and know Dr. Greger, nutritionfacts.org. If you have a particular topic you want some more information on, jump on there, put it in the search bar. You want to know about prostate cancer, what's good for that? Flax seeds are good. Different topics like that you want to just look up real quick, go to that reference because it's just real high yield and gets you everything you need to know. I've sent this website and links to my patients where they wanted to know something specific. So I'm like, oh, here's a great website, you should check it out. And then they start, just like you end up on one YouTube video and then you're there for like 3 hours and you're click. It's pretty much like that with nutrition facts. Send them one link, trust me, they'll look at more. So just, high yield information. His new book coming out, How Not to Diet, comes out December 10th. So for those of you that are excited for that, that's coming out soon. Dr. Neil Barnard, again, amazing forefront individual in the plant-based. His book, The Cheese Trap, for those people in your family or your network that's addicted to cheese or dairy, a really great reference for why it's so addictive. And then for those who are maybe veg-curious in your family that are actually, maybe last year they were like, why would you do this? And this year they're like, so you brought that vegan pumpkin cake, that pie, that was really good. So you're like, oh, now you're interested. Here, let me give you that vegan starter kit. You can start doing this too, So just find those opportunities where you can use these references. I'm going to click through some of this really fast. Brenda Davis, amazing. If you want high, very, very detailed information, especially on vegan pregnancies and breastfeeding and what you should be eating and paying attention to, what supplements are important. Her books are crucial, they're critical in promoting this type of lifestyle. So Dr. Garth Davis, obviously we've had him on the panel in the past. He's been an amazing voice in this, especially on the plant-based medicine side. If you've ever seen him on Instagram or seen his rebuttals to other meataholic advocates, he goes point to point. So that gives us a lot of fuel and gives us a lot of good, talking points. So if you check out his blog, that's a really good way to get, ready for the holidays from our perspective. The Pleasure Trap was featured on Forks Over Knives. And then Dr. Benjamin Spock, I don't know how many of you might know him, but in the world of pediatrics, a couple of decades ago, he was the pediatrician, the US pediatrician. He was everybody's baby's doctor kind of thing. So he was well-renowned, very esteemed individual. He was 88 before he went plant-based. But he got there is what's important. And how did he get there? After he had a stroke, he found the plant-based lifestyle, and after that got him there, he said, this is what is going to help our children prevent disease. And ever since then, he's been promoting it. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1998, but his wife was just at the last PCRM conference out in DC and was speaking on his behalf, and she is still promoting a plant-based nutritional lifestyle for children, which is amazing work that she's doing. All right, guys, we're gonna click through this real fast. Magazine, Forks Over Knives, comes out a couple times a year, has great recipes, great resources, check it out. Drina Burton, Plant-Powered Families, great cookbook, open it up with your kids, get some recipes, make cooking fun, make it interesting. That's how we get our kids eating healthy. I love Indian food, I'm Indian, gotta include Vegan Richa. How Not to Die cookbook, websites that, we should definitely check out. And then these are a couple of websites that are children-based. Plant Strong Juniors, Veggie Fit Kids, and PETA Kids. These are resources for those of you that are parents or grandparents or just want to have some more information about future children on what to do and how to, what to pay attention to. Okay. So, just a little joke because onions make me cry. So. All right. So again, Dr. Benjamin Spock. He, again, advocated for plant-based foods. Meat, nutrition from plant-based foods rather than meats have a tremendous health advantage. They are less likely to develop weight problems, diabetes, high blood pressure, and some forms of cancer. So I like to, even though I'm one of the few voices in Houston that advocate for a plant-based nutrition for children, it's nice to have backups. So, there are going to be people that are going to hate, but, just look faster, sorry. So the American Dietetic Association, of course, this is hard to read, so I just went ahead and retyped it here for you. Of course, supports a vegan lifestyle for all phases of life. Are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits, I wish I could underline that 15 times, in the prevention and treatment of certain diseases. So it's appropriate for all stages of life: pregnancy, lactation, infancy, childhood, adolescence, and for athletes. I would love to say the American Academy of Pediatrics has come out this strong on their position. They have alluded to it. They are still working on it, but I think there are other factors at play there. But this is obviously a healthful lifestyle, health benefits, so stay true to that fact. And again, that was back in 2009, guys. That was like 10 years ago. So 2002, they did a study for adolescent vegetarians and compared that to the health goals. They call it Healthy People Objectives. They set these objectives about 10 years in advance. And so the one for 2010, vegetarian adolescents were significantly more likely than non-veg adolescents to meet healthy people objectives. So again, definitely a healthful lifestyle. So for infant nutrition, again, I'm going to click through this real fast. I keep saying that, but I can't. Okay, let's go. So for babies, breast is best. We know that. Breast milk should be exclusive for the first 6 months, supplementing with vitamin D, sometimes vitamin B12 if mothers do not get adequate amounts. In some cases, iron supplementation, especially for the premature babies, are necessary. If you are not breastfeeding, soy formula, of course, is ideal. We know the European formulas are probably superior than our formulas just because they have higher regulations. If you have an infant, if you have friends in Europe, try to get your formulas from there, honestly. But for here, the soy formulas, of course, are options if you're not breastfeeding. This is a non-negotiable, no regular soy milk or other type of milk before the 12 months old. This is where those journalists go and have a field day with us. For the families that unfortunately didn't get the right education and they unfortunately did give their children regular vegan soy milk before, at 6 months old, and they became nutritionally deficient, and they just have a field day with it, guys. They just, they say, this is what happens when vegans make their babies have soy, and no, it's when people are not educated, and that can happen in any case. Obviously, we see that with the rates of childhood obesity, heart disease, diabetes in children now. Again, that is also not having good education around nutrition. So, but there are no exceptions to this, 100%. Okay. All right, so we start foods around 6 months, we advance them. Again, some baby cereals, infant cereals are important starting at 6 months. I do not recommend rice cereal. This was an old recommendation because we were worried about allergies, but they actually are found for the US brands, the brands of rice that are grown in North America, to have high arsenic levels. So I no longer recommend this. There's no reason to just be on rice because we're not worried about those kind of allergies anymore. So stick to your oatmeal or barley. Sorry guys, I'm trying to talk fast. So fat intake by age. The only reason I bring this up, you don't have to memorize it, but the fat intake, sometimes we try to eat a very low fat diet as adults, but this is not appropriate for children. Again, children are not little adults, right? They have different requirements. So that's important to keep in mind, that they require fat for brain development and health and for their bodies to grow appropriately. So, infancy obviously is the highest level. Childhood is 25 to 35%. For meal planning for children, this is a great resource, pcrm.org. I have a couple of up here, but you can literally print this out from their website, but it goes page by page on what to eat for your children. It's super cute with all these cartoons. You can, these kind of like veggie animals, so you can flip through it with your children, get some ideas maybe for a fun, animal bingo or whatever that is. All right, so by food groups, obviously our food groups are grains and vegetables and starchy vegetables, but these are how the servings kind of play out. Boys end up with, more allowable servings because they, as older children, because they just go through it faster. They need more of that energy requirement. So this is just something, again, you can look at pcrm.org. These are the supplements I often recommend to my patients. Sometimes it's good to go on Chronometer and input maybe just like 2 or 3 weekdays and a couple of weekend days, like a Saturday and Sunday, to look at where their levels fall, just to get an idea of it. But often these are the supplements that we just make sure children have. I don't, on the usual, recommend a multivitamin, but for some children it's necessary, but these of course are very important. All right, we're gonna flip through this. Ooh, that was too fast. Common fortified foods, vitamin B12, calcium, iron, these are foods you can reach for. I highlight the iodine. We just need a little bit of iodine every week, but sometimes that is overlooked as a micronutrient, so just, enjoy your veggie sushi. We get enough through that. All right, so again, Becoming Vegan has the specific amounts of macro and micronutrients that you can reference later, and I like veganhealth.org as well for some quick reference points. In general, just remember to eat different colors, eat from the rainbow, have a variety of fruits. It's so important for children to expose them to different textures and colors, make it fun. All you have to do is grow some rosemary on your windowsill and have them add it to a sauce. They get so excited and it becomes interesting for them. So that's the recommendations I make for my patients that swear to me that their children won't eat vegetables. Whereas in California, when we make growing a garden and vegetables part of the curriculum, they're eating kale salad for lunch. We just have to make it fun. We have to advertise it. We have to bring out our marketing self and get that cartoon voice that sounds super happy, because otherwise they just won't. There's a reason cartoons sound the way they do. It's so children pay attention. And y'all just looked at me as soon as my voice went high, so you guys do too. All right, model good eating behavior. If you make a face when you don't like a certain vegetable, like broccoli or Brussels sprouts, your child will make that same face. So whether you like it or not, you smile. All right, so hopefully that wasn't too crazy, but basically you want to get some of that knowledge, that foundation down. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts. Wisdom is putting that information into work. Another way to put that is, knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it into a fruit salad. Right? Yes. That's good. Good. All right. Knowledge, wisdom leads to empowered action. So getting into the holidays, guys, let's think about how we can, maybe take a minute before you go to that dinner where that person is going to be there, bombard you with questions, take a minute and see how you want to approach it this year. Sometimes we just get so busy getting our own food ready or getting our outfit and getting the kids and running out the door, but tonight, maybe go home and think, well, how am I going to approach it this year? And hopefully this will help a little bit. So some of us say we're crazy, but that's okay. The ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that usually do. And we will, right? Right. So for right now, I'd like you guys to take a breath in and breathe out. I know I need to. And I want you to think about your happy place. Okay? Maybe it's somewhere like this where you're looking out into the water. Maybe it's snuggled up on the couch with your favorite, with your dog or your favorite child. One of those things. Y'all have favorites, I know. Take that moment to picture where that space is. Just think about it and take that breath in and take that breath out. Breathe into that idea, that feeling, that warmth, that snuggle, that little lick of your dog. I have a little dog, her name's Chloe, where she licks your face and she's just so cute. Take that moment, breathe it in, and think about this happy place when you have those crazy people around you. Because you're right, we know we have the right idea. A plant-based lifestyle is what the world needs to go to for our health, for the environment, for the animals. This is where it's going to be in just not that far from now. So be patient, but live in that sort of space where you're secure in yourself that yes, you do have the right idea. You guys are the forefront. You are presenting these to your families. I mean, from here, like that, when they have those TED, talks, they show the ripple effect. I mean, you guys are that pebble. The ripple effect comes from this. This is, the epicenter, right? And you all go out into your communities and your individual places. So, it's important that we present ourselves, calmly, and that people want to be part of this community, right? Some of us, like when I first learned about this lifestyle, man, I wanted to bang the tambourine, I wanted to tell everyone, I wanted to go to the rooftop and just yell, like, oh my God, I figured it out, guys. Like, no, you're not the first one, but I was so excited, and I was like, it re-inspired me to be a doctor, and I wanted everyone to shake everyone, like, no, don't do this, but not everyone has the same journey, and we need to respect that. I learned that probably, I was lucky that my family was really open and changed very easily for me, but not all of us have that. And my patients, I see them suffering with asthma, I see them suffering with chronic, ear infections. Luckily, some of them listen to me, and I've saved now 4 patients from having ear tube surgery by cutting out dairy 100%. But those are 4 out of I don't know how many that I've presented this to, and you just have to be respectful of that journey, and that's what I've had to tell myself. So I share that with you guys lovingly, that, even though you want to just pound it into people and shake them because you could save yourself from this heart disease and get off these blood pressure medicines, we just have to check ourselves sometimes and be like, okay, this is not, we can't force our, journey on them. Even though we got it, we just got to be respectful of them. So I just say that to allow acceptance for people to change. Sometimes, if we put too much pressure on them, you're just going to be met with resistance. So allow that space for people to be open enough to come to you when they are ready to change. So because when they are ready to change, you want them to come to you. You want them for them to feel safe, to be like, hey, dude, I changed my mind, right? You want them to feel safe and not feel like you're going to be the one telling them, haha, I told you so, right? So make that space available to them, because otherwise you'll be that person who's, even though the person's buying the meatless burger, be like, why am I getting this for less pollution, less habitat destruction, less water usage, and then you get a bun stuffed in your mouth. So never underestimate the power of small changes. Over time, what were just a few small cracks, a few little suggestions of change, a change here, a change there, cut out dairy, don't eat processed meat, those things add up and eventually could collapse their entire fixed mindset. So don't feel like you're, because you lost a battle here and there, you lost the war. That is definitely not the case. Every little battle won is something that is to be cherished and treasured. All right, so perfection sometimes is the enemy of progress. So sometimes we want people to be like us. Maybe some of us went cold turkey. We want all or none kind of mindset. A lot of people don't work that way. They need to sort of be gently, encouraged into that direction. So don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. Again, we lead by example, right? We lead with a loving sense of steadfast empowerment is how I like to view it. We are loving because we're accepting, right? And we're empowered because we know we're doing the right thing. So try to, sort of have that kind of mindset. I had an example here with Uncle Bob, who's the one who's always really stubborn, and then Cousin Jenny, who's the one who maybe has a little bit more open a mindset, approach those differently, right? Uncle Bob, maybe today's not the day at Thanksgiving dinner to get into the argument with him, right? But offer a couple of suggestions and then just, say, well, talk to me in 5 years. Because it's gonna happen, right? And again, just leave that space for him for change. cousin Jenny, you have all those resources we just went through. Find which one works for them. There's probably somebody in your family who's maybe, whose child's having chronic ear infections. Say, hey, you know what? I just had a talk from this crazy vegan pediatrician, and she said that cutting out dairy could save them from having ear tube surgery. Like, why don't you try that out, right? Or they have acne issues. Cut out the dairy, cut out the high-fat foods, so little things, right, that you can kind of nudge them into the right direction. And once they start looking into those things, like I said, a few small cracks lead to a complete change in mindset. So find that interest that helps them move in the right direction. So again, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season and enjoy your Thanksgiving, and just hopefully had a great time tonight. So thank you for your attention. Why not before a year old? Yeah. So his question is, why can't you use just regular soy milk before a year old? So soy formula until a year of age, because of the fat content and the micronutrients that are available in the formula. They're not available at that level in the regular soy milk.
So they're not getting the nutrients they need out of soy milk.
Regular soy milk, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
As a pediatrician, hope you tell the parents to never spike, hit, or slap their children.
Of course.
No spanking.
No spanking, of course.
My question is about the media and the things that they're saying about Beyond Meat and Impossible Burger. Are they healthy? Are they healthier than eating meat?
All right, so her question was just about everything they're saying about the Beyond Meat and Impossible Burger, whether they're healthy. So I think we all know the answer to whether it's healthy, right, guys? It's healthier. So it's all relative, right? So is having an Impossible Burger healthier than having a regular burger? Yes. Is it healthier than a black bean burrito or a black bean burger? No. So yeah, it's a spectrum, but those products, are transitional products. They're there for people that, hey, I want to have my cake and eat it too. Yeah, I get it about the environment, but I still want my burger kind of attitude, right? So they're trying, and there's a place for that group, and I just, hey, if there's anything we can do to, again, nudge them in that direction. We don't want to be the haters, right? We want to be the encouragers and the loving group of people that, are welcome every walk of life, the veg curious, every end of the spectrum. So yes, there's a place for that food, but is it something I recommend for my patients that are whole food plant-based? No. Yes?
Here's the answer is it's healthy for the animals.
Yes.
It's junk food for us, but it's healthy for the animals.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I always go on the medicine side of it. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I just want to add too that nobody can say for sure it's less healthy because there's not been research. We don't have like 2-year studies where people are on Impossible Burgers versus beef burgers, right? So all the people saying that, they're kind of speculating because it's processed and there's kind of questionable ingredients and stuff like that. The one thing that might be healthier about a junk food vegan diet is that you probably get more fiber than the average person on the standard American diet. Now, is the junk food vegan diet healthier than a healthy omnivore diet? Maybe not. But we don't have a lot of research to show those things.
So healthier for the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest argument.
The good news about that also are people are talking about it, so it's bringing an awareness to the plant-based people, the people that are not plant-based, to give them a nudge.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think that was probably, was 2019 a great year to be vegan or what, right? I think it was a great year to be vegan. So, yeah.
I think we'll end it
questions there, so let's thank Dr. George for her presentation. We actually have our last award of the evening. We are recognizing Dr. George for being a vegan pediatrician and health advocate. She is the recipient of our Vegan Inspiration Award this evening.
Not really.